So this is a continuation to my Thailand trip. The my agenda was controlling my life a bit. So on the way back from the full moon party, I get on a ship. There was a boat that was picking up people from island to island, bringing everybody back to the mainland to take buses to wherever they were going next. And in the midst of everything that happened, I ended up getting to the bus to take me back to, I don't remember the town, but the bus was leaving in 5 minutes. So when I got to the bus, it was a double decker. I went upstairs, it was completely full. And it's not that I don't love people, I just don't like a bus full of people. And so I was a little bit frustrated that there was no room on the bus. It was going to be a 5-hour drive. So I go back downstairs to talk to the driver to see if there's anywhere else that I can sit. And he says to me, just check in here. And so check in here. There was a door where beside where the driver was. And I opened the door and oh, it was like this whole private area with like these red leather bench seats that just went around the whole front of this room. And there was maybe 8 of us in there, but I had my own seat on the bench. And this is where I met Julian. And I chit-chatted for a little while with the people on the bus, and then we all got off at this one place. So Julian and I just connected, and we ended up staying in the same hostel. And the next day, actually that night, Julian and I and another gentleman went out, and we got some pad thai, and like seriously $1 pad thai. Drank some beer and just hung out and did the little markets and the street vendors. And then the next day, Julian and I decided to go on some island hopping tours on these long boats. And I'm feeling pretty good about this, like, no agenda thing, and just taking it day by day. And so while we're on the longboat, Julian and I started talking, and I asked him, how long have you been traveling? And he's like, oh, I'm going on my 6th month. I'm looking at him like, what? 6 months? I'm like, the guy had nothing. He was traveling with barely nothing. I'm like, where's your like Lonely Planet book? And he looked at me like I had 4 heads. He's like, oh God. So he goes, I got rid of my Lonely Planet book like 2 weeks after I got here. And I'm like, what? You're traveling for 6 months without a Lonely Planet book? How is this even possible? And then he starts to tell me how he plans absolutely nothing. If he meets somebody and they say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Do you want to go to Burma? He said, sure. If he meets somebody else and they say, hey, what are you doing next week? Do you want to trek over to Vietnam? He says, sure. And I just can't comprehend, like, what? Because remember, I'm a control freak. I need to know what's going on all the time. So to hear Julian was just like mind blowing. I'm like, what kind of human is this? However, that being said, there was a little part of me that was a little bit jealous about the way Julian was living his life. No Lonely Planet book, like no agenda, no phone, no what else? Like, just nothing, just his backpack, just trekking by himself. And I think more and more as I open myself up to this possibility after hearing Julian's amazing adventures that he'd had for the past 6 months, really did something to me. And it made me take a look at how I was living my life. And I had always, I mean, I love traveling. I always loved traveling. I just never really had the opportunity to travel as much as I wanted to because of my circumstances at the time. And in that moment, I remember saying, like, I want that. I want to be able to just pick up whenever I want, travel, not have a care in the world, not worry about where I'm going to be, who I'm going to be with, what I'm going to do. To me, that just seemed like ultimate freedom. And I kept in touch with Julian over the years, just every so often, I would follow him on Facebook and see where he was at. And I think Julian traveled maybe a little over a year after we parted ways after that island trip. And what I really loved about following his travels and reading his stories was all of the amazing synchronicities and how the universe would just line everything up for him. And I mean, I had a lot of that happen to me during my trip as well, where I really had to get to a place of trust that everything was going to be okay. Because you can't be on your own and be worried all the time. It doesn't make for a fun adventure. And you have to trust that you're going to be able to figure it out. And one thing I'm grateful for and I'm really good at is being able to take away something from all of my experiences. All of them. There is nothing that I will not learn from, because every experience is an opportunity for growth, for seeing life in a different way, for seeing yourself in a different way. There's always an opportunity for growth. So I'm so grateful that I'm able to see that, because it really is a great gift that the universe has given me. Very powerful gift. And so I love Julian for that. And I'm so grateful that I met him on my travels. I'm grateful for a lot of people that I met on my travels, but especially for Julian, because he really taught me a lot. And if I can impart anything on you right now, is release the grip of always needing to know or to control what is happening. Be open to what the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, has in store for you. Because it's just magical when you can just be. That's where the magic is.